If I'm not mistaken, we getting closer to the end, right? Oh no, I need to check and see. But yeah, I didn't take no notes or anything, but I'm gonna just try to remember everything that I wanted to talk about. For me, I think the first half, hold on. For me, I think the first half, I ain't gonna say the first half, but the first few episodes, I think that storyline about Karen and how doctors treat black women and stuff like that, I think that's very necessity. The very necessity. I had to talk, girl. Very necessary or whatever because it happens. Because I was reading some comments and people think that it don't happen. People definitely think that it doesn't happen. Another thing that I'm reminded of is what was the name of that movie on Netflix that Tyler Perry's that reminds me of? Straw. If I'm not mistaken, I think Straw. Somebody had come in and said it's unrealistic because people don't go through back to back things like that. And that would be a lie. They definitely do. They definitely do. But I think that the first few episodes where they talk about it, and I'm gonna just say the first half anyways, because they focus on Karen and her mental state and everything that she's been dealing with and stuff like that. I think it's very necessary. A lot of people don't think so. They don't think that women go through that. But once again, there was a debate where people was talking about it. And people were sharing their experiences. Women were sharing their experiences, saying how they struggled just like Karen. They dealt with the same thing, just like Karen, and how it was hard to deal with. And a lot of people were saying, she should just get over it. And what about her other baby and all this other stuff? And I was like, I don't think it's no, time limit for how you grieve. One day you think you're okay. One day you think that you're not okay. Wait, do that make sense? Did I say that right? I don't know. Hold on, y'all. I don't think I definitely think what I didn't want for them with this storyline. I didn't want them to make it all about Zach. I didn't want it to be about Zach at all, to be honest. I didn't want them to be like, oh, the reason why she's dealing with this is because her feelings for Zach. Now, after they showed the scene with her and Zach, he came by and she was talking. Now, I will say she was talking more than she was when Aaron was trying to talk to her. She definitely was. But she still was struggling. It wasn't until Danny told her she gonna get in there, take a shower, and get up and stuff like that she actually started to, get up and take a shower and do better or whatever. It wasn't until she went to Dr. Vaughn where he encouraged her to get help and go to a support group and stuff like that she actually started to. So I don't think it was about Zach. I hope that's over and done with now. If they continue, because they saying that we getting a season 10, y'all. Now I don't agree with that, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's run its course. They over here got Fatima and Andy into it. They running out of ideas. Next, also I think on this week's episode, Danny and Andy's supposed to be into it. But they got Fatima and Andy. I would have never expected that to happen. But yeah, should have known. I just sit up there and tell myself, so don't tell Fatima that you seen her naked. Should have known something was gonna pop off. Should have known. But yeah, who we gonna start with first? I guess I'm gonna continue saying what I was saying about how I'm about to say the same thing again, y'all. I'm about to say the same thing I messed up on at the beginning of this. But yeah, I think that storyline is definitely, or was definitely, necessary because people don't talk about that. They try to make it seem like everything's sunshine and rainbows. Like you go to the doctor and okay, they do their job or whatever. No, and we know that it's not always about race and stuff like that, but majority of the time it is. Majority of the time it definitely is or whatever. So I love that he talked about that. I always said how, back in the day when he was first starting out and he was doing House of Pain, they always used to touch on subjects like this. I said, yeah, he need to bring that back, in my opinion. He needs to bring that back. But yeah, it's definitely I like the way they did that. The lady that plays Karen, I think her name Ebony, she did a good job. She definitely did. I love that Fatima being by her side every step of the way. I don't like that they made Fatima the captain save a female. But that's the way she's been written. That definitely is. But yeah, I always see people say how they wouldn't be watching if it wasn't for Zach and Fatima and stuff like that. And then didn't they say how that was never the plan? How originally Zach and Fatima wasn't even supposed to be a thing. So I want to know what was going to happen had fans not reacted the way they did about Zach and Fatima. Was Karen and Zach gonna be back together? But yeah, that's a whole another video. But yeah, what else was I gonna say about the Karen situation? I'm glad that they didn't take it to the situation where she was gonna harm a baby. I definitely love that. I think it's a lot to be said when Karen decided to call Fatima out of everybody. You got all these sisters there. You got all these friends there. But you call them your sisters, whatever. But she was the one person you felt comfortable enough to contact. I think the whole situation at the hospital, where Fatima was all she had, everybody else wouldn't answer the phone, the blackout and everything. I was like, I like the way they did that. But once again, we've seen them have Karen come over and say, "Oh, she's sorry," and apologize, and she gonna back off, and she don't want Zach no more and stuff like that. Now, let me say this, because I know somebody coming. I personally don't think that Karen was fully at fault, because Zach led her on in a way multiple times. He would, I don't think it's led on a good way to say it. Send her mixed signals. Well, ain't that the same thing? Can't that be the same thing? He was sending her mixed signals. So I don't care. Like, that's just my opinion. I've been studying saying that. He don't send her mixed signals. A lot of people like to fault Karen or whatever, but look how he done acted. He done left his fiance at the doggone law firm, and he breaking down. He just completely ignored her. She had him arrested for something he didn't even do. He could have got murdered right then and there by that police officer. He rewarded her by sleeping with her. I'm gonna forever bring that up. I'm gonna forever bring that up. As long as this show on, I'm gonna continue to bring it up. Cause that's some crazy stuff right there. So if you could do all that, went to jail and everything, you could go back to her right now. Anything can go. Even though we got the whole spin off, they got a whole family over there and everything else. You never know with this writing. We don't see these folks squash the beef and then re-squat them. Makes sense either. How I said, we don't see them squash the beef and then unsquash the beef. I don't know. But yeah, what else we gonna talk about? Hold on. Who next on the list? Cause we weren't supposed to talk about that, and we're gonna talk about Karen next. We're gonna do Danny and Tony. Um, they brought these four guys. I keep saying four. It was Tony, Jordan, and Rich, right? They done brought these three guys on the show. Made it seem like they was just gonna be these awesome, amazing guys. I don't even know where Jordan is. I can't remember where they said dude was at. And we ain't seen Penelope lately either, have we? They did all that. They done brought all these people. Danny talked all this noise about Preston. Preston kept trying. Wait, who does this remind me of? Let me see. I was thinking about another show. What was it? But she did all that about Preston. Preston did. To me, I felt like Danny had a problem with his race. I don't care. That's just the way I view it. She didn't want him mentioning anything. She had a fit when what he did, handcuff her, tie her to the bed or something. She had a fit about that. But she would always mention his race and stuff like that. But nobody want to talk about that. Okay. But yeah, talked all that noise about Preston. Even though I like Preston better on Zatima than I do up on Sistas. But yeah, talked all that noise about him. He ain't this, he ain't that, and he do this and he do that or whatever. Just to end up with Tony. And Tony over here being I ain't gonna say deadbeat, but I don't know. At first I thought Tony was testing Danny to see if she really cared about him or something like that. Now I don't know what he got going on. He don't sit up here and quit his job to be with her, and she already over here getting people digits and stuff. Now I don't know. I ain't gonna say that yet until we actually see it, because I don't know if did she actually give him the number? I know he wanted her number. I don't know if he gave it to her or not. Did Officer Green or whatever his name is, did he give her his number? But yeah, with them, I was like, I don't understand. I was rooting for them. I was like, Danny, this is the longest Danny ever went with one dude. This is the longest she ever been with one dude, and they done sit up here and messed it up. I also don't believe, and I know this is an unpopular opinion, I don't think she should have got no money for something she did. She knocked that coffee up on that dude. She knocked the coffee up on him. Now, he was watching and stuff like that, and it was partially Tony's fault, because she told him she didn't want to be a part of the program. They had been watching her because of that, even though they should have been watching her long before that, but okay. But yeah, I was like, how you knock the coffee on this man? Because they consider that assault, apparently. Apparently now that's considered assault. So you assaulted this man or whatever, and you got awarded $75,000. Speaking of that $75,000 or however much she got, did she leave all that money on the table? She just threw it on the doggone table or whatever. I said, now, if Tony don't get it, one of them kids gonna get it. Probably the little girl, because wasn't she thieving? Was she thieving? I just be making up words as I go. Hold on. Wasn't she stealing? Wasn't she stealing? That or that dude, her cousin, because he be in there too. Her cousin probably gonna steal. Maybe she gonna think it's one of his kids, and that's how her and Tony gonna get into it. I don't know, y'all. I haven't seen. They been very secretive this season. They ain't dropped no little episode things or nothing. They being very secretive. I said at least if you're gonna be secretive, let it be some good stuff. It ain't worth it. You might as well keep it a secret. You might as well keep it a secret. Hold up. I was like last season and prior seasons, they dropped all type of synopsis. We was able to make all these different videos, giving our opinions based on the synopsis. Now they want to be secretive, and it ain't even worth it. It ain't even worth it. But yeah, I think something gonna happen in regards to that money she left on the table. I definitely do. But I was like, I don't know. Did she ever answer him when he proposed? I don't think she wanted to marry him, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I don't understand. They was the one couple out of all the new couples that I was rooting for. Cause this the longest she ever went without talking to multiple dudes. She done got rid of Preston or whatever for this dude and everything. Just be over here struggling and everything else. Karen and Aaron. So far they still going strong or whatever. He told her last week, or he was questioning her last week about whether or not all this was because of Zach and she trying to relocate because of him and everything. She was like, no, it has nothing to do with him. She's over him and everything. And I said, I hope so. I'm tired of seeing it now. This needs to be over and done. It needs to be over and done with. He also mentioned, because other people seem to not see this, he mentioned on the show, Aaron mentioned how Zach also runs and jumps anytime something's wrong with Karen or anything going on. I said, I'm glad he said that, because people sit up there, we all be looking at the same thing, and people still find a way to just fully blame Karen. So y'all didn't see Zach jump up and just leave and not tell Fatima nothing. Yeah, they don't know how to communicate. Let me write that down, because this is what I wanted to talk about Zach and Fatima. They still not communicating. Over here trying to get married and stuff, but y'all don't know how to communicate yet. Nobody know how to communicate around here. Hold on. Okay, I wrote it down. But yeah, that's all I really had to say about them. Oh, no, it ain't. Do y'all think that they actually from the move? What did I see? I think people speculate whether or not Karen was actually gonna leave, and if she does leave, who's gonna become the fifth sister? Who's gonna become the fifth sister? I think because they're trying to include Fatima as one. Then you got Danny, Sabrina, and Andy. Yeah, that'll be the fifth, right? Unless I can't count. I don't know. But yeah, do y'all think they actually from the lead? Let me know down below. I hate that they didn't actually fully explore who Aaron is and show his kids. And even though he said they weren't his kids, that was his stepkids or whatever. They didn't show him. Ain't he a preacher or pastor? They ain't showed that. They said he had a group. They never said what the group was. Back in the day, was saying it was the group that Zach was in or whatever. We haven't really seen him with Gary lately. I forgot about Gary. He finna leave. I was like, at this point, if everybody leaving, they might as well end it. What the world going on now? I'm ready for the other show to come back. What was the name of that show? Divorce Sistas. I'm ready for that to come back. It seemed like it'll be real good. I think Sistas has run its course. But yeah, who we got next? Andy, Gary, Robin, Dr. Vaughn, and Fatima. So with Andy and Gary, if you've been watching, he came, he apologized for everything and stuff like that. He said he's finna leave. He mentioned he got kids now, because at first he was saying he just had one. Because they be forgetting what they be writing. But yeah, and he's supposed to be talking to Fatima this week. She's supposed to pull a weapon on him and stuff. I'm assuming that $100,000 came from him, that he was returning Zach money. Because remember, they tried to get it from him and he was like, he wasn't going to give it to him. I'm assuming that's what it was. That's what it is. I'm assuming he's trying to apologize to Fatima. Now, I could be wrong, but we'll see. Andy and Robin, they brought the man back. They made some of us question whether or not he was the one who stabbed Gary and everything, because the way he was acting. They had him try to flip on Andy and stuff like this and go over her head. They said that he was one of the big bosses or whatever. Then they turned around and said he wasn't. They said Andy was a partner. Then they turned around and said she wasn't. She left him a voicemail. What did she say? I think he left her a voicemail first. And he was saying how he at the airport, stuff like that. They showed the lights going out, so we assume, okay, next time we see them, she gonna get to the airport, something like that. Next thing they showed this girl, they still replayed the whole thing where Hudson had shot Jasmine, all this stuff had happened. They was wrestling over the weapon and everything. He got took into jail. Lord have mercy, get it together, girl. They showed Zach over at her doggone house and stuff like that. He done walked in on her neck and she told me, don't say nothing, and he gonna actually listen. Fool. Don't never, y'all be in that situation, don't y'all do that stupid stuff. That's gonna be a problem. It don't matter if it was an accident. It's the fact that you sit up here, you try to keep it from him. You tell me, don't take, next thing you know, it'd be like, that's not my only little secret.